Okay, in yesterday's class, I taught you simply about objects, right? I told what object-oriented programming is, fine. I talked about just the three browsers, how to open them by creating the objects. Okay, so over here, this was the class city.java. Okay, so I had created the objects of city.java out here, fine. Okay, so out here, this is city.java, fine. Inside it, I had made the variables like name, population, and a function called print, right? And then from sample.java, what I did was, hold on. Sample.java was a file in which I was creating the objects of this class. Okay, out here I created the object of the city class, right? And I created two objects, right? And I gave different values to each of them, right? And call the functions. So basically, I wanted to emphasize that every object will have its own set of properties. Okay, and that's what we did in Selenium as well. I told you that in Selenium everything is inbuilt, right? For example, for Firefox, there was a class known as Firefox driver. For I, there is a class known as I driver. Chrome, it is Chrome driver, right? So you create the object of these classes and stuff works. Okay. Now the place where we had left was that Firefox driver, Chrome driver, I driver, you're creating the object. But if you have to interact with the web page, okay, suppose there is a button on the web page, I need to click on the button. So will the command in Firefox driver be different for clicking on a button than command in Chrome driver and then command in Internet Explorer driver to click on a button? Because every driver class has its every driver class corresponds to a different browser. Okay. Well, the answer for this question is that uh, no. Every driver class will not have its own custom function. Okay, and the answer derives from the concept of interfaces in Java language. Okay, first we will study interfaces and then how these classes Firefox driver, Chrome driver, Internet Explorer driver are related to each other. Okay, so let me create a new. Is my voice breaking or is it okay?
Breaking.
Hold on. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll create a new project over here and name this project as day3. Okay, and I will go to the properties and add the jar files of Selenium Testing. Right. So I've added the jars of Selenium in this project, and this project is Selenium enabled. Now, the thing is to tell you about the interfaces. I'll take a very simple example. Right. What is an interface? What is the meaning of an interface? Okay. For example, when you buy a book, suppose you are in a bookstore and you want to buy a book, right? So what do? right? What do you do when you buy a book? You actually look at the book, you look at the topics mentioned in the book. You open the first index page. There are some topics listed on the index page, which actually give you a very brief idea of what the book is all about, right? So the topics, they are like an interface. Okay, they tell you what the book is supposed to do. Or for example, when you go to my website, right, you go to the Selenium Training course website and you look at these modules, right? These these all modules are like interfaces. It's like an interface for my website. Okay, it describes what I offer, right? So an interface is something which is abstract. That is, it is not complete, but also it provides you the information what the stuff is supposed to do. Okay. So similarly in Selenium, sorry, in Java also we have we have the concept of interface. For example, if I create a new, you'll get the option interface out here. Okay, and suppose I name the interface as say planet. Okay, I'm naming the interface as planet. Okay, now what are the features of a planet? What are the features of a planet? That means what all can a planet do, right? So I'll make a function out here, public void say rotate, right? Then public void revolve. Okay, these are the two basic features of a planet. It rotates and it revolves. Right. Now you create a new class out here. Before I move further, if you look at this interface just describes what a planet is supposed to do. Okay, it is not having the method body. It is just like an information to the end user that file. These are the two properties of a planet, right? So if I create a new class out here and I name that class as say Earth, right? So Earth is a planet. Okay, Earth is a planet. So in Earth class, we can write something like this: public class Earth implements planet. When a class implements an interface, okay, it is mandatory for the class to implement all the functions in the interface. That's why I'm getting an error out here. If you move your mouse over there, you'll get the fix that add unimplemented methods. You click on this and the methods will be added. So these two methods, they are added in the class, error goes away, right? And these two methods come from the planet interface. Okay. On the top of every method, it is written @override, which basically means that these functions are coming from the interface planet. This is known as an annotation. It is not mandatory, you can remove it as well, but putting it is a better choice because if suppose somebody else looks at your code tomorrow, he will come to know that these functions are coming from the Earth interface. Sorry, from the planet interface. Okay, so out here I'll write rotate, and out here I'll write revolve. Okay. Or earth rotate, or earth revolve. Right. So what is the usage of interface? Basically, the first usage is that it simply tells you what the stuff is supposed to do. Okay, it simply tells you what some stuff is supposed to do. Just a minute. Right. So the interface basically tells you what the stuff is supposed to do. For example, the planet interface tells you that the planet rotate and revolves. So the Earth is a planet; it will implement both the functions. Right. Secondly, suppose a new planet comes up tomorrow. Say I create a new class known as Jupiter. Okay, that class also you can write implements planet. Okay, public class Jupiter implements planet. Fine. So it will also have the methods implemented out here, and you can write system.out.println Jupiter rotating. Fine. And out here you can write Jupiter revolving. So what do we have? We have an interface, okay, and both the classes, right, Earth and Jupiter, they implement the interface. Whatever methods are there in interface A and B, suppose, those will be present inside both these classes. Okay, both these classes will implement, but Earth class will implement the methods in its own way, and suppose Jupiter class will implement the method in its own way, right? But the name of the methods will remain same. Okay, the name of the methods, they will remain same. I hope you got my point, right? So how is this helpful? Every class, every planet class, right, will have the same name of the method, but the implementations will differ. Are you able to understand my point? You didn't understand? The planet function has got two methods. Yeah, you can write. Okay, you can write without interface also. But in that case, you can write any name. Suppose in Jupiter class, I write over here rotating. Immediately, I will get an error over here, right? That will tell me that fine, I have not implemented the method rotate. So while implementing an interface, it becomes mandatory. It becomes mandatory to give the same name. Okay, it's like a rule, right? And suppose I have got 10, 15 different classes, Earth, Jupiter, Mercury, Mars, and all. So if I just look at the interface planet, Just by looking at the interface, I'll come to know that what all functions are there in all the classes. Okay. For example, I go to the website seleniumhq.org. Okay, and I go to the download section. Right. In the download section, I have this Java doc. Right. We go to this Java doc or Java documentation. Right. Now out here in the documentation, these are all the classes which are there in Selenium. Whatever class is written in italics is actually an interface. Okay. For example, the class over here, say mouse. This is an interface. It actually depicts the mouse which is there on your system, and it depicts the in this you have functions which are related to mouse. Okay, and you will have the information over here that these are the two implementing classes for this interface. Event for mouse and HTML unit mouse. You can click on them and go to the corresponding class. Okay, by creating the objects of these classes, you can interact with the mouse movements and mouse operations. You can do the mouse operations. Okay, but mouse is an interface, and these are the two actual classes which implement them. So in both these classes, you will have these set of functions. Okay, or everybody might have heard about the word WebDriver. Right, everybody must have heard about the word Selenium WebDriver. What is WebDriver? Technically, WebDriver is an interface. WebDriver is actually an interface, and all these classes, Chrome driver, Event driver, Firefox driver, HTML driver, remote web driver, Safari driver, and even Android driver and all, they implement the WebDriver interface. Okay, so all my driver classes, they implement the single interface known as WebDriver. So all my driver classes, which I had created over here yesterday, Firefox, Chrome, all of these classes will have the same interface, are implementing the same interface. Because of that, all of these classes will have same set of functions. If I have to click on a link on Firefox, right, then the function for clicking on the link on the Firefox would be same as the function for clicking on a link in Chrome and function for clicking on a link in Internet Explorer. Are you understanding my point? Right? Hold on. Can I have extra functions not defined? Yes, you can have. Okay. Suppose in Jupyter class, I have got these two functions, right? Okay. Apart from these two functions, you can also have any other function, say public void x, y, z. Okay, so this is a function which is not from the interface, but it is its own property. You got my point, right? Okay, you can have a function, right? But majority of the functions in Selenium are from the interface WebDriver. Okay, so this is one of the advantages of interface. Right, there are two advantages. One, I have explained that the name of the functions in each and every class will remain same, although the implementation can differ. Okay, so this helps in Selenium because in Selenium you will have same functions in all the three driver classes, I, Chrome and Firefox. So you really don't have to learn them separately what each and every driver class does. The functions will be same. For example, get function I was using to navigate to a website. Get function is there in all the three driver classes. Out here also I can use the get function. Okay, right. Now if I go forward and uh, tell you one more advantage, it will be something like this. For example, I'll create a new class known as say test.java, just a simple file, and in this I create the object of the planets. For example, I write over here Earth E equals to new Earth. Okay, no Vanaja, don't get yourself confused. Just follow me what I'm telling you. Okay, so you create the object of the Earth class, and you can write over here, and you can also create the object of the class Jupiter. Okay, if I try to create the object of the interface, that is planet E equals to new planet, I will get an error. You cannot create the objects of interfaces in Java because interfaces are abstract, they are not complete. Okay, this was the planet interface. I cannot create the object of this interface anywhere. You cannot create objects of interface. See, this is not possible. Yes, we create the objects of the classes which are implementing the interface because classes are complete. Okay, out here you can write earth dot say revolve, earth dot rotate, and after that Jupiter dot revolve and Jupiter dot rotate. The name of the functions in both the classes are same, right? But when I run this, it will actually write earth revolving, earth rotating, Jupiter revolving, Jupiter rotating, right? Okay, so basically if you look at this, you have the same functions, right? This is very clear. Okay, secondly, okay, there is something new, that is if I create the object something like this, that is I write planet P equals to new Earth. This is a little different thing which I have done than this. Okay, out here I have given basically what I have written over here. I have written interface reference equals to new class which is implementing the interface. I have given the reference of the interface P and I'm pointing it towards the class which is implementing the interface. How this line is different from this line? Okay, if you are writing this right, then you can only access the functions which are there in the Earth class and which are coming from the planet interface. You cannot access the functions which will be something like some own property of the Earth class. For example, in Earth class, I can create another function, say public void something like say life. Okay, so this is a function which is not coming from the planet interface, but it's a private property of the Earth class, right? So out here, when I create the object of Earth, I can call the function life as well. But when I create the object like this, then I can only access the functions in Earth class which are coming from the interface. I can write p dot revolve, p dot rotate, but I cannot write p dot live. I'll get an error. I hope you got my point, right? What is the advantage of writing like this? Okay, why do we write like this? That I will come over in some time. Okay, but are you able to understand that if I create the object like this, that is, I give the reference of the interface and point it towards the class, then with this I can only access the functions which are coming from the interface into the class. You cannot access the functions which are like additionally implemented by the class. Okay, right? So what is the advantage in Selenium for this? I'll just create a new class known as Selenium. Example. Suppose we have hold on. Suppose we have a situation in which uh, I want to open Firefox, right? Go to the website gmail.com and do some testing, right? Then I want the same code, right, to run to again, but this time I want the code to run on Chrome, and again I have a different requirement. The third time when I run, the code should run on say I, right? If I go by primitive way, then I will end up creating the object of Firefox driver. If I write the code like this over here, if I write Firefox driver f1 equals to new Firefox driver, right, and I can write f1 dot get to the website gmail.com, and then you can perform some testing on Gmail. Okay, now suppose I am reading that the browser is Mozilla. Generally what happens is that we read which type of browser we are using. We read it from the Excel file. Right now I am hard coding it. Okay, we read it from an Excel file, from a properties file or some other file, from some other external source. We read that what kind of browser will you be testing on. So suppose the information is that I need to test on Mozilla, then simply I can create the object of Firefox driver and go to Gmail and test it. Right. Now suppose tomorrow the browser changes. It changes to Chrome. will I have to manually go and change Firefox driver class into Chrome driver? Are you getting the problem? The problem out here is that in my Excel file, the browser should change dynamically. Okay, but in my code, I should not be changing my code. The code should automatically open Chrome in that case, in case the browser is Chrome. But if I write like this, then it doesn't look possible, right? So we take the help of this concept which we have just seen. You can create the object like this, right? How do we take the help? Now I'll just delete this. Everybody knows I can write like this now. WebDriver driver equals to new Firefox driver. That means the interface WebDriver reference equals to new class which implements the interface. Firefox driver is implementing the WebDriver interface, right? I can also write like this: WebDriver driver equals to, say this is driver 2, equals to new Chrome driver, right? Because Chrome driver is also implementing the WebDriver interface. Okay, or to be a little advanced, I can write initially that WebDriver equals to, say, null. Null means that this reference is not pointing towards anything right now. Okay, and depending on my requirement, I can make it point towards Firefox driver on the next line, or Chrome driver on the next line, depending on my requirement. Is there anybody who is not able to understand this concept? Are you able to understand? If you are getting confused, please let me know. Okay, right. In the test class, I had shown that planet reference interface reference equals to new class which is implementing the interface. Okay, Sriram, I'll explain it again. Right. Look, I can write this. This part is clear, right? That I can write planet P equals to new Earth. Right. Now over here as well, I'm doing the same thing on this line. I'm writing WebDriver driver equals to new Firefox driver, or WebDriver driver 2 equals to new Chrome driver. But out here I have written a little differently. Right. We write WebDriver driver equals to null. Fine. That means it is not pointing towards anything. Then I can make driver point towards Firefox. I can also make this driver point towards Chrome. So Kishore is asking a question that we can also write like this. That is Firefox driver equals to this. Then why are we writing like this? Kishore, you'll get the answer in just 2 minutes. Just be with me. What is the difference between this and this? What do we get? Okay, just you wait for 2 minutes and get the answer. So basically out here, I have split this line into two lines. Right, I've initially equated driver to null and then equated it to Firefox driver or Chrome driver on the next line. Okay, now what is the advantage of this? The advantage is that I can open up my browser dynamically. I can write a condition over here that if the browser which is coming from some external source is equal to Mozilla, right? Then go forward. Oh, just one minute. Then go forward and equate driver to Firefox driver. Else, if the browser is equal to Chrome, then you know out here, if it's Chrome, then you have to set the system property as well. I told you about the system property yesterday, right? System.set property webdriver.chrome.driver to the path of chrome driver.exe and equate driver to new Chrome driver, right? Else, if browser is equal to I, then equate the driver to new Internet Explorer driver, right? So same reference will dynamically point towards a different browser. Yes. So this reference will point towards any one of the drivers. Okay. Suppose the browser is Chrome. If I run this program, then Chrome will open up and testing will be carried out on Chrome. Okay. Right. Yeah, we need to set the property in I as well. I didn't do that. You see that Chrome is open, right? If tomorrow the driver over here, tomorrow I write over here Mozilla. Basically in Excel file, if I change the browser and I execute, now Mozilla will open up. So I really don't have to change my code. It opens up automatically. Shriram is asking the question, is it possible to run all the three browsers at one time? Yes, it is possible, but you have to use Selenium GRID for that. You cannot write a single program, you have to use Selenium GRID for that. Okay. In Selenium GRID, we have multiple machines, or on a single machine as well. You can create a hub and you can create nodes, and on these nodes you can execute the tests parallelly on probably on different browsers or whatever you want. Okay, right? So out here you can also write over here normal testing can be carried out. You can write driver.get to any website, say http gmail.com, and you can carry out the testing whatever you want. I hope you got my point. Alright. Now coming over to the question that why don't we write like this? If we write like this, then how can we instantiate the browser on demand? I'm instantiating the browser on demand over here. If I write like this, I cannot, because this driver 3 can only point towards Firefox driver in this case. It cannot point towards Chrome or Mozilla or Chrome or I, right? You got my point, right? Okay, you can put the exe file for I also. Any questions from anybody? Anything regarding any technical question or regarding the course, anything? So hope you got this concept of interface cleared out. There are two advantages. One is that every class which will be implementing interface, right, will have the same function. Second is you can open the browser directly. Okay. WebDriver fails to start on Firefox in Linux. Sudha is having a problem that WebDriver Firefox is failing on Linux. Sudha, can you email me the error? Shriram, I'll answer this question, but I'll answer your question later on. Right now, nobody will be able to understand. Okay, I'll answer. Right. So,